Welcome to What's New with Emmy. I'm Ali Mehdaoui, and today's headline feels like a deja vu, but with a twist. The U.S. House Oversight Committee just released 33,295 pages of Jeffrey Epstein documents. Sounds groundbreaking, right? Except 97% of it is old news. Court filing, videos, depositions we've already seen. But buried inside, we now have something that spark fresh questions. The missing minute of jail surveillance the night Epstein died. A guard, a staircase, and a timeline gap that critics have been pointing at for years now is on the record. But the real story today isn't about paperwork. It's about the people. Survivors, including Marina Lucidra, once known as only minor victim one, and others are speaking publicly for the very first time, stood on Capitol Hill. Their demand was clear. We need transparency. We need the Epstein files to be out. These aren't just names in documents. These are human beings demanding justice, accountability, and truth after decades of silence. And they're not asking politely, they are insisting. Enter Congress Representative Thomas Massie, Republican from Kentucky, and Ro Khanna, Democrat from California, introduced the Epstein Files Transparency Bill. They're calling for a discharge petition, a rare maneuver that forces a House vote if they are to gather 218 signatures. Translation: the government would have 30 days to unseal every remaining Epstein file. No more excuses, no more hiding behind blacked out pages. And here is something powerful. While the DOJ insists there is no such thing as an Epstein client list, survivors are creating their own. They are piecing together flight logs, court records, and emails, building a people's record of who flew, who knew, and how it was there. Imagine survivors writing the history the government refuses to publish. So where does this leave us? With new footage, survivors breaking silence, and lawmakers risking political capital to force daylight. The question isn't whether Epstein was guilty. That's settled. The question is, who else was complicit? What's being still hidden from us, and why? If survivors can be brave enough to stand in public, shouldn't our institutions be brave enough to tell the truth? This is What's New with ME, bringing you empathy, clarity, and the tough question no one else dares to ask. We'll be right back.
In a world of digital noise, your brand deserves a command center. Welcome to ME Studios, where your vision doesn't just get captured, it gets amplified. This isn't just another production space. This is your complete media powerhouse. Our multi-unit facility in New Jersey is engineered for brands that refuse to be overlooked. We transform your voice into professional podcasts streaming on Spotify, Amazon Music, and beyond. Your stories become headlines across 300 plus media outlets, including Fox, ABC. Behind every viral moment is strategy. Our content creation and SEO campaigns don't just chase trends, they create them. From concept to distribution, we build the digital presence others envy. Your brand, your voice, your time to dominate. Visit the mestudios.net and turn potential into
Welcome
impact.
back. Breaking news from the Caribbean. The U.S. military has carried out a lethal strike on Venezuelan drug smuggling vessels, killing 11 suspects traffickers. The boat, allegedly linked to the infamous Tren de Aragua cartel, was intercepted in the southern Caribbean. President Trump wasted no time calling the group narco-terrorists and praising the operation as a win for national security. But beyond the headlines, this story has layers that demand a little bit of a closer attention. According to officials, the boat was loaded with narcotics, part of a surge of drug trafficking routes between Venezuela and the Caribbean corridor. Video footage released by the Pentagon shows the fiery aftermath, with debris scattered across the waves. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed the operation, framing it as part of a broader U.S. push to choke off cartel activity in the hemisphere. But while the government celebrates a tactical win, human rights groups are already asking, who were these 11 people really? And what accountability follows when lethal force is used at sea? This is not just about drugs, it's about geopolitics. Venezuela's Tren de Aragua isn't your everyday cartel. It's a transnational criminal syndicate stretching across South America with roots in Venezuelan prisons. The United States strike comes amid heightened tensions as Washington flexes its military presence in the region. Allies like Colombia may applaud, but others see it as another escalation in the long running U.S. Venezuela standoff. And let's not forget, every strike risks fueling the narratives of interventionism that Latin American leaders have been pushing back against for decades. So, yeah, 11 suspected smugglers are dead. A narco boat is sunk. But what happens tomorrow? Will this actually deter trafficking or just push cartels to shift tactics? Will Venezuela retaliate politically? And how do we weigh the loss of life when due process is bypassed at 30,000 feet? These are the questions the public deserves answer to, because drug wars fought in the shadows rarely stay in the shadows for long. This is What's New with ME, and this segment is delivered with empathy where it counts, context where it matters, and always asking the questions the headlines won't. Because behind every successful strike, there is a story about lives, power, and the ripple effect of choices made at the highest levels.
In a world of digital noise, your brand deserves a command center. Welcome to ME Studios, where your vision doesn't just get captured, it gets amplified. This isn't just another production space. This is your complete media powerhouse. Our multi-unit facility in New Jersey is engineered for brands that refuse to be overlooked. We transform your voice into professional podcasts streaming on Spotify, Amazon Music, and beyond. Your stories become headlines across 300 plus media outlets, including Fox, ABC. Behind every viral moment is strategy. Our content creation and SEO campaigns don't just chase trends, they create them. From concept to distribution, we build the digital presence others envy. Your brand, your voice, your time to dominate. Visit the mestudios.net and turn potential into impact.
Back. On September 2nd, Beijing turned Tiananmen Square into a theater of power. The occasion? The 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, or what China calls it, Victory Day. But this was not an ordinary remembrance. This was an elaborate military parade, stealth aircrafts, swarms of drone, hypersonic missiles, and China's full nuclear triad rolling down the boulevard. If you're wondering whether this was about history or headlines, well, the message was aimed squarely at the future. Front and center stood Xi Jinping, China's paramount leader, flanked by none other than Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. Three nuclear powers, shoulder to shoulder, smiling at the spectacle. Think about that. A parade not just of weapons, but of alliances. It wasn't just tanks on wheels. It was geopolitics on display, underscoring a deepening bond between Beijing, Moscow, and Pyongyang. At a time when relations with the West are at their frostiest in decades. Analysts call it what it is, a rebuke to the West, a symbolic middle finger to Washington and its allies. This wasn't just a show of strength, it was a carefully choreographed declaration of a new world order, where China, Russia, and North Korea see themselves as the counterbalance to the Western power. Hypersonic missiles streaking by are not just fireworks, they are a statement. We are here. We are armed, and we are not playing second fiddle anymore. And yet, in the shadows of all of this grandeur, a rare act of dissent. In southwestern China, a lone male projected anti-communist slogans onto a building just before the parade in a country where public protest is nearly impossible. This act, small, fleeting, and almost certainly punished, tells us something. That beneath the pageantry, cracks of defiance still exist. And maybe that's the most powerful image of all. So we're left with two stories, the parade of power of Tiananmen Square and the whisper of protest in the city wall. One shouts confidence and the other reveals vulnerability. Together, they raise questions. Are we witnessing the rise of a new global axis or the overcompensation of a regime that needs parades to project their strengths? Either way, the world just got a reminder, history isn't only remembered, it's weaponized. That is another segment with What's New with ME, where context, empathy, and the questions that we ask where headlines won't even ask.
In a world of digital noise, your brand deserves a command center. Welcome to ME Studios, where your vision doesn't just get captured, it gets amplified. This isn't just another production space. This is your complete media powerhouse. Our multi-unit facility in New Jersey is engineered for brands that refuse to be overlooked. We transform your voice into professional podcasts streaming on Spotify, Amazon Music, and beyond. Your stories become headlines across 300-plus media outlets, including Fox, ABC. Behind every viral moment is strategy. Our content creation and SEO campaigns don't just chase trends, they create them. From concept to distribution, we build the digital presence others envy. Your brand, your voice, your time to dominate. Visit the mestudios.net and turn potential into impact.
On our final segment, we're looking at one of the most heated debates in America, childhood vaccines. RFK Jr., now Secretary of Health and Human Services, announced that the COVID-19 shot has been removed from the CDC immunization schedule for healthy children and pregnant women. It's a decision that bypassed the usual advisory process, and it comes wrapped in even bigger questions about transparency, about trust, and how vaccines are tested in the first place. In his announcement and in recent testimony, Kennedy repeated a claim he's made for years that the CDC hid studies suggesting links between vaccines and autism. He pointed back to a 2004 controversy involving CDC data and the MMR shot, arguing that it proves the government has downplayed risks for decades. His argument: if they hid one thing, what else aren't they telling us? That line of thinking made its way into House Homeland Security Committee hearing. Representative Gallagher pressed Kennedy on his assertion that childhood vaccines were never tested against placebos. Gallagher's response was blunt, and I'll quote him directly. For the record, that's not true. He pointed to evidence that vaccines like measles, HPV, and polio have been evaluated in placebo-controlled trials. In fact, the FDA's own records document both placebo and comparators trials in pediatric vaccines. The FDA confirms that while some vaccines use silent placebos, many were tested against older vaccines or solutions already in use. Why? Ethics. Once an effective vaccine exists, withholding it from children just to create a placebo group is considered unsafe. Critics call that a convenient loophole. Supporters call it necessary. And caught in the middle, us, parents, we're trying to understand what tested for safety really means. Meanwhile, the American Academy of Pediatricians still isn't backing down. They still recommend the COVID shot for kids as young as 6 months. That's crazy to me. But the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists say the same thing for pregnant women. Their stance: the science is solid and the risks of illness outweigh the risk of vaccination. But this divide between federal leadership and frontline pediatricians only deepens confusions for families. So here's where we are. A cabinet secretary claiming cover-ups, lawmakers fact-checking him in hearings, federal agencies defending their standards, and pediatrics groups defying Washington. This isn't just about one vaccine, it's about the foundation of public trust. If parents believe the system isn't transparent, no mandate, no press release, and no advisory panel, we rebuild the confidence overnight. This was What's New with ME, and today's question isn't whether vaccines save lives. History shows that they actually have done so. The question is whether Americans believe the government is telling them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about how they're tested, reviewed, and recommended. And that, my friend, is what's new with ME and the debate that is shaping the future of public health. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep on asking the right questions. Until next time.
In a world of digital noise, your brand deserves a command center. Welcome to ME Studios, where your vision doesn't just get captured, it gets amplified. This isn't just another production space. This is your complete media powerhouse. Our multi-unit facility in New Jersey is engineered for brands that refuse to be overlooked. We transform your voice into professional podcasts streaming on Spotify, Amazon Music, and beyond. Your stories become headlines across 300-plus media outlets, including Fox, ABC. Behind every viral moment is strategy. Our content creation and SEO campaigns don't just chase trends, they create them. From concept to distribution, we build the digital presence others envy. Your brand, your voice, your time to dominate. Visit the MEstudios.net and turn potential into impact.